So what ma'am saying is that try to attempt all the questions. You have to reach the end.
Yes, absolutely.
Because if we don't reach the next question, it's like adaptive. If you mark it wrong,
Yeah.
they'll give you an easier question.
Yeah.
That will also be marked as wrong.
Yes.
Which will then should be giving you an easier question. Again, that is marked.
If you have 3 questions which are not marked correctly, it will be very bad because it is 2 questions marked incorrectly. Third will be like a sitter, and that is marked incorrectly.
Yeah.
So then it will be like, then your score will drop down quite a bit.
Put the pattern, everything is wrong, so the score will...
Yeah, it will plummet because of it.
Okay. So the scoring pattern is a bit weird when it comes to GMAT because it's not linear, right? Like for CAT, I can say I'll do 10 questions, 10 into 3, 30. If I get negative, minus 3, 27. But here, it's like 805, 7, like everything in this odd multiple. So how is it exactly counted? Is there a pattern for that?
So it's a pattern. Basically, they have not given full details of exactly how they're going to score, but they have basically mentioned that it is based on the question difficulty and your accuracy. So because it's an adaptive test, if you answer questions correctly, you will get harder questions. If you answer correct questions incorrectly, you will get easier questions.
Okay.
So if you suppose you are answering questions and you go on till a later stage of the test and you give an answer incorrectly, and you will get some negative points for that. And again, the next question would be a slightly easier. Okay. So you are actually losing out on 2 parts. Firstly, the negative marks from this question, and also because you're getting easier questions post that question. Okay. So because of that, slightly also it was going to affect the overall score you're going to get because the difficulty of the questions that you have been, the average difficulty has gone down. So it's basically average difficulty or the difficulty of the question into whether you have gotten it correct or not. So you're getting penalized on both parts. Firstly, the accuracy over here and the whether the future questions as such. Okay. All right? These are the 2 things that are going to affect your score. What is going to affect your score much more is if you get a question wrong at the start. Because then the average difficulty of the entire test becomes lower.
So will the first question be on a lighter level or like medium or high?
It will be very easy. Okay. But the issue is that you have to be very, very, very focused in the first few You can't, there are some students who are not fully on in the first few questions. After first few questions, they get warmed up. That won't work because from the first question itself, you have to be very, very exact. Because what will happen is that this is something that a lot of students have experienced that, suppose I solved the entire section. I got one question incorrect at the very end. Okay. I got very good score in quant. I got one question incorrect at the very start. I had a much lower score than somebody who got one question incorrect at the very end. And that person felt that I just got one question incorrect. I should not get this much or this lower a score just because I got one question incorrect.
I'll put it in another way. One person got one question wrong in the first. Yeah. Another one got the one question wrong in the end. Yeah. So who will get better score?
The one who got it at the end would get a much higher score. And it would be like a huge difference, not a small difference. It would be a huge substantial difference between the scores of those 2 people for the same number of correct and incorrect questions.
Yeah. So that's why it's an adaptive test. They are testing you. So I think the last question, if we make it wrong, that will also be a difficult question, right? If you have a streak of correct.
Yes.
So it will be going up the difficulty.
It's not linearly up because basically they alternate between different topics. So if they have tested you for time, speed, distance, if they bring in a topic from profit and loss, it will not be that difficult.
It will also be like on a lighter level, then go up.
It won't exactly go to 0, but it would be much, whenever a new question comes up, it would not be that difficult as such. So again, a lot of students think that, if I am given a easier question, that means the last question was wrong. And then they will go to the review section and change the option there. That's not what happens. Sometimes you get easier questions just because the topic has changed. Or sometimes you get easier questions because it's a test question. So there are some questions which are not really marked for difficulty. They are new questions and they are testing for difficulty. Okay. So it's not really that you have gotten the earlier question wrong. That's why you have been given a easier question. That often actually trips up a lot of people. They think that, maybe I made a mistake in the last question. That's not the case.